everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name's Sophie and in today's video I'm going to be reading the highest and lowest rated books on my Physical TBR. So before I get into the video, please remember to like this video if you enjoy it and subscribe to my channel for more bookish content. I primarily read fantasy, thriller and romance books and I post videos every Sunday. So like I said, I'm reading the highest and lowest rated books on my Physical TBR. The highest rated book on my TBR with an average rating of 4.3 on Goodreads is The Four Winds by Kristin Hannah. I know absolutely nothing about this book. To be honest with you, Kristin Hannah is becoming an auto-buy author for me. I've read two of her books so far, The Nightingale and The Great Alone, and I gave both of those 5 stars. So I have quite high expectations for this one. I know I'm going to enjoy it. The lowest rated book on my Physical TBR with an average rating of 3.52, which I don't think is really incredibly low, is Make Me by Tessa Bailey. This is the third and final book in the Broke and Beautiful series by her, and this is just a romance. Tessa Bailey's quite an easy romance author for me to read, so I am still quite excited to get to this one, even if it is the lowest rated on my Physical TBR. Hey guys, so I'm just coming in with a reading update for this vlog, as I have started the highest rated book on my TBR, which is The Four Winds by Kristin Hannah. So we start this one in 1921 and we're following our main character Elsa, and Elsa is 25 years old, unmarried, and she is a spinster. She's very tall, she's sort of average looking, and her parents basically have written her off. No one wants to marry her. She had an illness when she was maybe 14, and ever since then they basically think she's incapable of just absolutely anything. She's basically stuck in her room, you know, she doesn't seem to have any friends. She's got 2 younger sisters who are both married, and yeah, she's just the spinster of the family really. And one day she's in town, she's going to the library, and she goes into the fabric shop, and the owner says that there's some really nice red silky fabric. Would her sisters like it? She buys it for herself and she turns it into a very scandalous dress for this time period anyway, and she goes out wearing it, defying her parents, and then she ends up meeting a boy called Rafe, who at the time is 18 years old. So Elsa is 7 years older than him, and he drives her somewhere and they end up having sex, and then she goes back home. Her family, especially her father, are absolutely horrified at the outfit. Her father hits her and she's basically banished to her room, and then she keeps going out and she meets Rafe again at a sort of like town party basically, where everyone brings a load of food, and Rafe is Italian and they're Catholic, so at the time I guess they're American. This is based in, I think that they are in Texas. Their families don't really like each other. There's a bit of animosity between the Americans and the Italians, I believe, and then he is actually engaged to another girl. Elsa gets very upset by this. She storms out. Rafe follows her home and they have sex again, and they keep kind of meeting up doing this, and then eventually Elsa gets in the family way. She's pregnant. She throws up in her parents' garden. Her parents disown her, find out about Rafe, and they drive her to Rafe's family home and basically dump her on the doorstep and like, make this right, make an honest woman of her, and we never want to see you ever again. So Rafe obviously was supposed to go to college and he was obviously engaged to someone, so that all kind of goes to pot, and he ends up staying to live on the farm and marries Elsa. Elsa gives birth to a baby girl called Loretta. I'm not sure of the pronunciation of that. And then we move on to 1934. So we move on to 1934. Elsa and Rafe are obviously still married. They have another child called Anthony, and there was a third child, Lorenzo, but he unfortunately died as he was born. They still live with Rafe's parents, Tony and Rosa. So it's set during the Great Depression, and there is a drought all over Texas especially, where there's obviously no water, all the animals are dying, the crops aren't growing, and everyone's really struggling, and it's been like this for quite a few years now. And a lot of people start to head to California because there are rumours going around that there's jobs on the railroads and things like that, and Rafe wants to move his family to California to start a better life for everyone, including his parents. His parents will not leave the land. They own the land and they worked hard to own the land, and they don't want to move. And Elsa doesn't want her family to struggle. Like, she's very traumatized by everything that her family did to her, and she just wants her kids to grow up in a safe, stable environment where they know they are loved, and she thinks that moving all this way to California would not be good for them. And then I've just gotten to the point where Elsa and Rafe are clearly having some struggles in their marriage. I think Rafe, he's not abusive towards her that we are aware of, but he just doesn't like appreciate what she does really. Like, she works from dawn till dusk. It's hard for everyone during the Great Depression and this drought, and he's sort of moping around. He has a close relationship with his daughter, and he kind of of turns the reader against Elsa, and she sees Elsa, her mum, as like the bad guy in the situation. And then Elsa and Rafe decide to talk about moving to California. Rafe says, you know, go on up to bed, I'll be up in a bit and we can talk about it. And then Elsa wakes up in the morning, his suitcase is gone, all his clothes are gone, and he has gone to California. And that is where I've gone up to. So I don't know, I know that Elsa does end up going to California, that is in the synopsis, but I don't know if she finds Rafe again or if this is just on her own with her children. But I'm really enjoying this one so far. Like I said, this is quite a hard-hitting novel, like with any Kristin Hannah book, or at least the ones that I've read so far anyway. I know that she writes a lot of like historical fiction. I've read The Great Alone and also The Nightingale. I'll leave the link to the vlog where I read The Great Alone above, and The Nightingale I read before I started making YouTube videos. I gave both of those a 5-star rating. I really enjoyed them, and I'm hoping that this one is going to be another hit as well. So far it's really good. Kristin Hannah is really good at setting the scene, and it's very slow moving how she lays everything out and sort of introduces us to all the characters. Like I said, I'm about 114 pages in, and we haven't gotten to the point where Elsa goes to California yet herself with her children, but I'm assuming that will be happening soon now that Rafe has gone. I know this is going to be quite a difficult book to read. It's going to be all about obviously the Great Depression, this drought, and I guess starting afresh with a family or by yourself with your children, and how being a woman in America at this time, like, you have not so many rights, and how difficult this is going to be for her, and how, you know, her family were just horrible to her. And like I said, Rafe didn't really seem to appreciate what he had with her. And we also get from the daughter's perspective as well, of when she's in school and just kind of what she thinks of her mum. So I guess it's going to be primarily about their relationship with each other, and I guess how maybe they grow back together, or I don't know. I know that I'm in good hands with Kristin Hannah. What I've read from her I have really enjoyed. But yeah, I'm really enjoying this one so far, and I'm taking it slow because I don't want to rush this one and kind of miss the messages that we're going to get from this. I really want to take my time and really appreciate this one for what it is. It's definitely not a fast-paced book. It's definitely quite slow-paced. However, she's a fantastic author, and I'm really trusting where we are going to go with this book. So I will carry on reading for a bit, and I'll probably check back in with you a little bit later. I usually do like a check-in like when I've started and then when I finish, but I think I might with this book come in maybe sort of just over halfway and update you on anything that's happened or my thoughts and things like that. But yeah, I'm really enjoying this one so far, and I'm really glad I picked this one up. Hey guys, so I'm just checking in on this reading vlog. So I am currently 314 pages through The Four Winds by Kristin Hannah, and we've gotten to the point where shortly after I last updated you, Elsa and her children have made their way to California. Obviously what is happening there is not quite what they expected. I think they expected to be welcomed with open arms and, you know, find a job very quickly, be paid a decent wage, and that is really not what is happening here. So Elsa's in-laws, Tony and Rose, they decided not to go with the children, and I have to be completely honest with you, reading Tony and Rose especially, saying goodbye to Elsa was really emotional. Like, when Elsa first came into this family, she was really not wanted really by anyone, and to see her and Rose's relationship, how it's developed into a mother-daughter relationship where Rose is sacrificing her own life really, like, you know, they give Elsa and the children all the money. It's just so beautiful, and how they may not have been family by blood, as in like Rose was not Elsa's mother, but how these bonds can grow over time, and how that very first stiff awkward hug that they had together, and how Rose could barely tolerate Elsa in the beginning, to Rose is crying her eyes out, and the goodbye, I was tearing up, I nearly cried, and I was like, oh my god, Kristin Hannah really knows how to write like really emotional, impactful scenes, and that just really got me. And then obviously the children and Elsa have gone to California, and it was a very difficult journey for them, and whilst they are there, things aren't really quite as expected, and honestly reading about it is quite difficult. I'm not really all clued up on American history. I know obviously certain things that have happened, but like the Great Depression and things that have happened specifically in this book I'm not really too aware of, but reading about it, after everything, how resilient Elsa still is, and she will do anything for her children, and she just, you know, she still believes things are going to get better, and I really hope they do for this family. I really hope they do. And in California, you've got all these people who are very well off. They're not, you know, they haven't lost their homes and their livelihood, and how they really look down on the migrants. And it is kind of a bit of commentary even on today, like we as a society are still like this. We have people who come in America, obviously in this book they've moved to a different state, and they call them slurs and they look down on them, and people won't help them, and there are a few people that do try and help them, them, but like, you know, the children are in school and they get beaten up and not treated the same, and I think sometimes you get a bit of, you know, like, I'm very lucky that I was born in the UK and I live here, and I think my life would be so different if I was born somewhere else, if I wasn't as lucky to be born here. And I think that if I wasn't born here, if I was born in a different country that wasn't as well off as the UK maybe, why wouldn't people want, like, why do you not want to help people who are less better off than you? And I didn't, you know, these people didn't choose to be born in these places and things like that. Like, you know, Elsa and her children didn't choose to be born in Texas, and they didn't choose these troubles, you know. It's not, what has happened is not their fault. You can't control the weather, you know. And I think they've come all this way seeking a better life, and these people just look down on them, and I just think it's quite disgusting, really. I think I understand there's sides to the argument, and I'm not like I'm going to go into the whole debate, but you know, Elsa really does not want to ask for help, and she needs to feed her children. You know, her children didn't ask to be born. They didn't, you know, I think if Elsa knew the life that was going to happen, would she have still had these children? You don't know. It really gets you thinking, like, there's a whole conversation to be had about this, and I'm not going to like delve into politics and stuff here, but it really does get you thinking, and it's kind of sad, really, that, you know, this is 1934, and in 2025, we are still like this as a society in whole. But yeah, this one is still a really good read. It's really, yeah, like it says on here, powerful, compelling, really emotional, really moving, and I definitely think this is going to stick with me for a long while. I've got about just under 140 pages left, and I'm really intrigued to see what is going to happen, and I really hope that there is light at the end of this tunnel for this family. And obviously I know that this is a fictional story, but I do know obviously real people went through this, and I hope it gets better for them. But yeah, I can see, honestly, Kristen Hanna is very fast becoming like a favourite author of mine. She's just, reading her books is quite difficult, but also so worth it in the end. Like, they're difficult to read in parts, but they're just so truthful, and she really doesn't like mince her words or sugarcoat anything that happens. And yeah, just really, really good. Just loving this one so far. I feel like I'm gonna need to take a break after this and read. I think the romance book I'm gonna read after this is gonna be a great sort of like pick me up, because this is just, yeah, this is a lot, but it's really good. And I think seeing Elsa and her daughter, seeing their relationship improve, and it's just really beautiful. So yeah, I'm intrigued to finish this one out. It's going in a direction I'm not kind of sure what's gonna happen next, but I'm really intrigued to find out. So yeah, really, really enjoying this one so far. Hey guys, so I'm just checking back in to wrap up the Four Winds by Kristen Hanna. So I have obviously now finished this one, and I'm going to give this one a 5-star rating. I can see why this was the highest rated book on my Physical TBR, alongside basically all of her books that I haven't read, to be honest with you. So yeah, 5 stars for this one. I only wish that at the end we had kind of stayed with this family a little bit longer. I understand why the ending went as it did and how we kind of jump in time, but I do wish we maybe stayed a little bit longer just to see what happened in a bit more detail. But other than that, this was really, really good. I feel like saying I loved this book it's difficult to say with historical fiction, because obviously I don't want to say I love reading about traumatic events and things like that people have gone through, and obviously I know the events in this book are fictionalized, and like the town is fiction and stuff, but it is based on real people's experiences. Yeah, really, really loved this. And I mean, I feel like I'm a bit late, not late, because I read Nightingale back in 2020, and then I've picked up 2 of her books this year, so I'm a bit late on catching up with her backlist. But I would say if you are interested in historical fiction or like literary fiction, this is a really good author to go with. She just writes things with such care, and you can tell she's really researched these periods in time, and just, yeah, absolutely fantastic. One thing I've noticed, like, you follow women in these time periods rather than sort of like the men, even though like in this time period, like at one point, you know, Elsa and her family are picking cotton in the field, and there's loads of women and children doing this to make ends meet, and the workers there are like, come on men, they just refer to the men. So it's just interesting to see like women's side of history that we don't usually get to see. But yeah, this is really, really good, and just, I feel like I just need to sit now just sit with my thoughts for a bit. But yeah, this was really, really good, and I'm really glad that I finally read it, and I'm just really excited to catch up on the rest of Kristen Hanna's backlist. So yeah, 5 stars for this one. I'm gonna move on to, I think it's Make Me by Tessa Bailey. But yeah, I think I need like a romance just to like chill with right now. So I have started and finished reading Make Me by Tessa Bailey. I got sort of like halfway through this one and thought I should come in and check in with you guys, but this is only like 240 pages long, and I didn't really have all that much to say. So I'm going to give this one a 3-star rating. In this one we follow Abby and Russell. So Abby is one of the girls that lives with, well, it's Roxy, Honey and Abby that share this apartment, and Russell is friends with Louis and Ben, who were obviously the main love interests in the other two books. Now, Abby is 24 years old. She is quite the career woman, and her family are very, very rich. So her dad runs a hedge fund company, and she has currently taken over this company temporarily because he's had a mental breakdown. She's really struggling with the workload, and Russell is friends with Louis and Ben, and they just end up hanging around together, and you kind of see the blossoming relationship start in the previous two books, and they're just sort of very friendly with each other. They obviously like each other. Russell is a sort of construction worker. He runs his own company as well, but he's really struggling to get the funds to expand this company. Now, Abby tries to help him with this, not with the money, with her knowledge of business, and this book again is just miscommunication all over. So they very clearly like each other, and like they just won't admit it to each other, they won't admit it to themselves. And then there's a whole thing about Abby still being a virgin, and Russell like doesn't want to take her purity away, and like, you know, he wants to save her for her future husband, and it's just really weird. At one point he's reading a romance book, like a historical romance book, where the guy like he takes his wife's virginity, and it's so painful for her, and it's like, I understand obviously some women do experience pain, but it's like, just why are you doing your research through a historical romance book? Why are you not just googling things? And it's just like, you're 27 years old. I'm sure you know a bit more about the female body than that. But yes, that kind of, I don't know, I didn't really like that aspect, and it was just, like I said, it was just miscommunication all over. I think that's something I really don't enjoy about this trilogy. It's just miscommunication all of the time. They cannot have a conversation. None of these couples can have a conversation without miscommunication, or they say the wrong thing, or something gets misconstrued, and it's so frustrating. Like, I genuinely think that none of these couples will last after these books. Like, I'm like, you're not gonna last because you just don't have it in you to communicate properly. And like, they have their fallouts and things. Like, all these couples, they fall out like 3 or 4 times in this book, and it's just like they just spend more time apart, and it's just so frustrating. It's not even like hate to love, it is just miscommunication. It's just terrible. And I think you can definitely see how far Tessa Bailey has come with her writing. I think this was like her first series. You can see how much she's come along, but yeah, this was just not my favourite. I'm glad I've read it because I finished out this trilogy, and I'm nearly caught up on all of Tessa Bailey's books now. But yeah, I don't know if I would recommend this series, to be honest with you. If you want something quick, I would recommend it, but it's not that good. Maybe it's more of like a 2.5, to be honest with you. I just don't really like this series, to be honest with you. But yeah, I don't really have all that much more to say than that. Yeah, it was just miscommunication and people meddling. So there's a lawyer that works for the company that Abby's dad, or Abby, now runs, and he just like says, so they have sex for the first time, and then Abby goes back to the house in her towel, and he says something to her. She goes up, has a shower, and comes back down, and in the meantime Russell has like followed her. This lawyer has said something to him and given him money to basically go away, and he just believes this man that he's just met rather than believing what him and Abby just sort of experienced, and he doesn't believe in their relationship, and every opportunity this man has to run away, he takes it, and it's just so frustrating. I just think, Abby, girl, you deserve better. You deserve better than this man. I'm sorry, you do. Anyway, 3 stars for this one. That's kind of it really for that one. I can see why it's like one of the lowest rated books on my TBR. Like 2.5, 3 stars is what this deserves, really. So that is the end of this reading vlog, where I read the highest and the lowest rated books on my TBR. Please comment down below if you've read either of these books. I'd love to hear your guys' opinion on them. Which Kristen Hannah book should I pick up next? Because I just want to read all of her books now. Please remember to like this video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to my channel for more bookish content, and I'll see you in the next one, guys. Bye.